Chapter 86 of the Book of Jasher. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. At that time, after the pestilence, the Lord said to Moses and to Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest, saying, Number the heads of the whole community of the children of Israel, from 20 years old and upward, all that went forth in the army. And Moses and Eleazar numbered the children of Israel after their families, and the number of all Israel was 700,730. And the number of the children of Levi from 1 month old and upward was 23,000. And amongst these there was not a man of those numbered by Moses and Aaron in the wilderness of Sinai. For the Lord had told them that they would die in the wilderness, so they all died, and not one had been left of them, excepting Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Joshua the son of Nun. And it was after this that the Lord said unto Moses, Say unto the children of Israel to avenge upon Midian the cause of their brethren the children of Israel. And Moses did so, and the children of Israel chose from amongst them 12,000 men, being 1,000 to a tribe, and they went to Midian. And the children of Israel warred against Midian, and they slew every male, also the 5 princes of Midian, and Balaam the son of Beor did they slay with the sword. And the children of Israel took the wives of Midian captive, with their little ones and their cattle and all belonging to them. And they took all the spoil and all the prey, and they brought it to Moses and to Eleazar to the plains of Moab. And Moses and Eleazar and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet them with joy. And they divided all the spoil of Midian, and the children of Israel had been revenged upon Midian for the cause of their brethren, the children of Israel. End of chapter 86. Read by CJ Plogue. Chapter 87 of the Book of Jasher. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. At that time the Lord said to Moses, Behold, thy days are approaching to an end. Take now Joshua the son of Nun thy servant, and place him in the tabernacle, and I will command him. And Moses did so. And the Lord appeared in the tabernacle in a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stood at the entrance of the tabernacle. And the Lord commanded Joshua the son of Nun, and said unto him, Be strong and courageous, for thou shalt bring the children of Israel to the land which I swore to give them, and I will be with thee. And Moses said to Joshua, Be strong and courageous, for thou wilt make the children of Israel inherit the land, and the Lord will be with thee. He will not leave thee nor forsake thee. Be not afraid nor disheartened. And Moses called to all the children of Israel and said to them, You have seen all the good which the Lord your God has done for you in the wilderness. Now therefore observe all the words of this law, and walk in the way of the Lord your God. Turn not from the way which the Lord has commanded you, either to the right or to the left. And Moses taught the children of Israel statutes and judgments and laws to do in the land as the Lord had commanded him. And he taught them the way of the Lord and his laws. Behold, they are written upon the book of the law of God, which he gave to the children of Israel by the hand of Moses. And Moses finished commanding the children of Israel, and the Lord said to him, saying, Go up to the Mount Abarim, and die there, and be gathered unto thy people as Aaron thy brother was gathered. And Moses went up as the Lord had commanded him, and he died there in the land of Moab, by the order of the Lord, in the 40th year from the Israelites going forth from the land of Egypt. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab for 30 days, and the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were completed. End of chapter 87. Read by CJ Plogue. Chapter 88 of the Book of Jasher. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. And it was after the death of Moses that the Lord said to Joshua the son of Nun, saying, Rise up and pass the Jordan to the land which I have given to the children of Israel, and thou shalt make the children of Israel inherit the land. Every place upon which the sole of your feet shall tread shall belong to you, from the wilderness of Lebanon unto the great river, the river of Perath shall be your boundary. No man shall stand up against thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so will I be with thee. Only be strong and of good courage to observe all the law which Moses commanded thee. Turn not from the way either to the right or to the left, in order that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest. And Joshua commanded the officers of Israel, saying, pass through the camp and command the people, saying, prepare for yourselves provisions, for in 3 days more you will pass the Jordan to possess the land. And the officers of the children of Israel did so, and they commanded the people, and they did all that Joshua had commanded. And Joshua sent 2 men to spy out the land of Jericho, and the men went and spied out Jericho. And at the end of 7 days they came to Joshua in the camp and said to him, the Lord has delivered the whole land into our hand, and the inhabitants thereof are melted with fear because of us. And it came to pass after that Joshua rose up in the morning, and all Israel with him, and they journeyed from Shittim, and Joshua and all Israel with him passed the Jordan. And Joshua was 82 years old when he passed the Jordan with Israel. And the people went up from Jordan on the 10th day of the 1st month, and they encamped in Gilgal at the eastern corner of Jericho. And the children of Israel kept the Passover in Gilgal in the plains of Jericho on the 14th day of the month, as it is written in the law of Moses. And the manna ceased at that time on the morrow of the Passover, and there was no more manna for the children of Israel, and they ate of the produce of the land of Canaan. And Jericho was entirely closed against the children of Israel, no one came out or went in. And it was in the 2nd month, on the 1st day of the month, that the Lord said to Joshua, rise up, behold, I have given Jericho into thy hand with all the people thereof, and all your fighting men shall go round the city once each day, thus shall you do for 6 days. And the priests shall blow upon the trumpets, and when you shall hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall give a great shouting, that the walls of the city shall fall down. All the people shall go up every man against his opponent. And Joshua did so according to all that the Lord had commanded him. And on the 7th day they went round the city 7 times, and the priests blew upon the trumpets. And at the 7th round Joshua said to the people, shout, for the Lord has delivered the whole city into our hands. Only the city and all that it contains shall be accursed to the Lord, and keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest you make the camp of Israel accursed and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and brass and iron shall be consecrated to the Lord, they shall come into the treasury of the Lord. And the people blew upon the trumpets and made a great shouting, and the walls of Jericho fell down, and all the people went up, every man straight before him, and they took the city and utterly destroyed all that was in it, both men and women, young and old, ox and sheep and ass, with the edge of the sword. And they burned the whole city with fire. Only the vessels of silver and gold and brass and iron they put into the treasury of the Lord. And Joshua swore at that time, saying, cursed be the man who builds Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates thereof. And Achan the son of Carmi, the son of Zabdi, the son of Zerah, son of Judah, dealt treacherously in the accursed thing, and he took of the accursed thing and hid it in the tent, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And it was after this, when the children of Israel had returned from burning Jericho, Joshua sent men to spy out also Ai, and to fight against it. And the men went up and spied out Ai, and they returned and said, let not all the people go up with thee to Ai, only let about 3,000 men go up and smite the city, for the men thereof are but few. And Joshua did so. And there went up with him the children of Israel about 3,000 men, and they fought against the men of Ai. And the battle was severe against Israel, and the man of Ai smote 36 men of Israel, and the children of Israel fled from before the men of Ai. And when Joshua saw this thing, he tore his garments and fell upon his face to the ground before the Lord, he with the elders of Israel, and they put dust upon their heads. And Joshua said, why, O Lord, didst thou bring this people over the Jordan? What shall I say after the Israelites have turned their backs against their enemies? Now therefore all the Canaanites, inhabitants of the land, will hear this thing and surround us and cut off our name. And the Lord said to Joshua, why dost thou fall upon thy face? Rise, get thee off, for the Israelites have sinned and taken of the accursed thing. I will no more be with them unless they destroy the accursed thing from amongst them. And Joshua rose up and assembled the people, and brought the Urim by the order of the Lord, and the tribe of Judah was taken, and Achan the son of Carmi was taken. And Joshua said to Achan, tell me, my son, what hast thou done? And Achan said, I saw amongst the spoil a goodly garment of Shinar, and 200 shekels of silver, and a weight of gold of 50 shekels weight. I coveted them, and took them, and behold, they are all hid in the earth in the midst of the tent. And Joshua sent men who went and took them from the tent of Achan, and they brought them to Joshua. And Joshua took Achan and these utensils and his sons and daughters and all belonging to him, and they brought them into the valley of Achor. And Joshua burned them there with fire, and all the Israelites stoned Achan with stones, and they raised over him a heap of stones. Therefore did he call that place the valley of Achor. So the Lord's anger was appeased, and Joshua afterwards came to the city and fought against it. And the Lord said to Joshua, fear not, neither be thou dismayed. Behold, I have given into thy hand Ai, her king, and her people, and thou shalt do unto them as thou didst to Jericho, and her king, only the spoil thereof and the cattle thereof shall you take for a prey for yourselves. Lay an ambush for the city behind it. So Joshua did according to the word of the Lord, and he chose from amongst the sons of war 30,000 valiant men, and he sent them, and they lay in ambush for the city. And he commanded them, saying, when you shall see us, we will flee before them with cunning, and they will pursue us. You shall then rise out of the ambush and take the city. And they did so. And Joshua fought, and the men of the city went out toward Israel, not knowing that they were lying in ambush for them behind the city. And Joshua and all the Israelites feigned themselves wearied out before them, and they fled by the way of the wilderness with cunning. And the men of Ai gathered all the people who were in the city to pursue the Israelites, and they went out and were drawn away from the city, not one remained. And they left the city open and pursued the Israelites. And those who were lying in ambush rose up out of their places and hastened to come to the city, and took it and set it on fire. And the men of Ai turned back, and behold, the smoke of the city ascended to the skies, and they had no means of retreating either one way or the other. And all the men of Ai were in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that side, and they smote them so that not one of them remained. And the children of Israel took Milosh the king of Ai alive, and they brought him to Joshua, and Joshua hanged him on a tree, and he died. And the children of Israel returned to the city after having burned it, and they smote all those that were in it with the edge of the sword. And the number of those that had fallen of the men of Ai, both man and woman, was 12,000. Only the cattle and the spoil of the city they took to themselves, according to the word of the Lord to Joshua. And all the kings on this side Jordan, all the kings of Canaan, heard of the evil which the children of Israel had done to Jericho and to Ai, and they gathered themselves together to fight against Israel. Only the inhabitants of Gibeon were greatly afraid of fighting against the Israelites lest they should perish, so they acted cunningly. And they came to Joshua and to all Israel and said unto them, we have come from a distant land, now therefore make a covenant with us. And the inhabitants of Gibeon overreached the children of Israel, and the children of Israel made a covenant with them, and they made peace with them, and the princes of the congregation swore unto them, but afterward the children of Israel knew that they were neighbors to them, and were dwelling amongst them. But the children of Israel slew them not, for they had sworn to them by the Lord, and they became hewers of wood and drawers of water. And Joshua said to them, why did you deceive me to do this thing to us? And they answered him, saying, because it was told to thy servant all that you had done to all the kings of the Amorites, and we were greatly afraid of our lives, and we did this thing. And Joshua appointed them on that day to hew wood and to draw water, and he divided them for slaves to all the tribes of Israel. And when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard all that the children of Israel had done to Jericho and to Ai, he sent to Hoham the king of Hebron, and to Piram the king of Jarmuth, and to Japhia king of Lachish, and to Deber the king of Eglon, saying, come up to me and help me, that we may smite the children of Israel and the inhabitants of Gibeon who have made peace with the children of Israel. And they gathered themselves together, and the 5 kings of the Amorites went up with all their camps, a mighty people numerous as the sand of the seashore. And all the kings came and encamped before Gibeon, and they began to fight against the inhabitants of Gibeon, and all the men of Gibeon sent to Joshua, saying, come up quickly to us and help us, for all the kings of the Amorites have gathered together to fight against us. And Joshua and all the fighting people went up from Gilgal, and Joshua came suddenly to them and smote these 5 kings with a great slaughter. And the Lord confounded them before the children of Israel, who smote them with a terrible slaughter in Gibeon, and pursued them along the way that goes up to Beth horon unto Makkedah, and they fled from before the children of Israel. And whilst they were fleeing, the Lord sent upon them hailstones from heaven, and more of them died by the hailstones than by the slaughter of the children of Israel. And the children of Israel pursued them, and they still smote them in the road, going on and smiting them. And when they were smiting, the day was declining toward the evening, and Joshua said in the sight of all the people, Sun, stand thou still upon Gideon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon, until the nation shall have revenged itself upon its enemies. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Joshua, and the sun stood still in the midst of the heavens, and it stood still 36 moments. And the moon also stood still and hastened not to go down a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened to the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. End of chapter 88. Read by CJ Plogue. Chapter 89 of the Book of Jasher. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Then spoke Joshua this song on the day that the Lord had given the Amorites into the hand of Joshua and the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of all Israel, Thou hast done mighty things, O Lord. Thou hast performed great deeds. Who is like unto thee? My lips shall sing to thy name. My goodness and my fortress, my high tower, I will sing a new song unto thee. With thanksgiving will I sing to thee. Thou art the strength of my salvation. All the kings of the earth shall praise thee. The princes of the world shall sing to thee. The children of Israel shall rejoice in thy salvation. They shall sing and praise thy power. To thee, O Lord, did we confide. We said, Thou art our God, for thou wast our shelter and strong tower against our enemies. To thee we cried and were not ashamed. In thee we trusted and were delivered. When we cried unto thee, thou didst hear our voice. Thou didst deliver our souls from the sword. Thou didst show unto us thy grace. Thou didst give unto us thy salvation. Thou didst rejoice our hearts with thy strength. Thou didst go forth for our salvation. With thine arm thou didst redeem thy people. Thou didst answer us from the heavens of thy holiness. Thou didst save us from 10,000s of people. The sun and moon stood still in heaven, and thou didst stand in thy wrath against our oppressors, and didst command thy judgments over them. All the princes of the earth stood up. The kings of the nations had gathered themselves together. They were not moved at thy presence. They desired thy battles. Thou didst rise up against them in thine anger, and didst bring down thy wrath upon them. Thou didst destroy them in thine anger, and cut them off in thine heart. Nations have been consumed with thy fury. Kingdoms have declined because of thy wrath. Thou didst wound kings in the days of thine anger. Thou didst pour out thy fury upon them. Thy wrathful anger took hold of them. Thou didst turn their iniquity upon them, and didst cut them off in their wickedness. They did spread a trap, they fell therein. In the net they hid, their foot was caught. Thine hand was ready for all thine enemies, who said, Through their sword they possessed the land, through their arm they dwelt in the city. Thou didst fill their faces with shame. Thou didst bring their horns down to the ground. Thou didst terrify them in thy wrath, and didst destroy them in thine anger. The earth trembled and shook at the sound of thy storm over them. Thou didst not withhold their souls from death, and didst bring down their lives to the grave. Thou didst pursue them in thy storm. Thou didst consume them in thy whirlwind. Thou didst turn their rain into hail. They fell in deep pits so they could not rise. Their carcasses were like rubbish cast out in the middle of the streets. They were consumed and destroyed in thine anger. Thou didst save thy people with thy might. Therefore our hearts rejoice in thee. Our souls exult in thy salvation. Our tongues shall relate thy might. We will sing and praise thy wondrous works. For thou didst save us from our enemies. Thou didst deliver us from those who rose up against us. Thou didst destroy them from before us, and depress them beneath our feet. Thus shall all thine enemies perish, O Lord, and the wicked shall be like chaff driven by the wind, and thy beloved shall be like trees planted by the waters. So Joshua and all Israel with him returned to the camp in Gilgal after having smitten all the kings, so that not a remnant was left of them. And the 5 kings fled alone on foot from battle, and hid themselves in a cave, and Joshua sought for them in the field of battle, and did not find them. And it was afterward told to Joshua, saying, the kings are found, and behold they are hidden in a cave. And Joshua said, appoint men to be at the mouth of the cave, to guard them, lest they take themselves away, and the children of Israel did so. And Joshua called to all Israel and said to the officers of battle, place your feet upon the necks of these kings. And Joshua said, so shall the Lord do to all your enemies. And Joshua commanded afterward that they should slay the kings and cast them into the cave, and to put great stones at the mouth of the cave. And Joshua went afterward with all the people that were with him on that day to Makkedah, and he smote it with the edge of the sword. And he utterly destroyed the souls and all belonging to the city, and he did to the king and the people thereof as he had done to Jericho. And he passed from there to Libnah, and he fought against it, and the Lord delivered it into his hand. And Joshua smote it with the edge of the sword and all the souls thereof, and he did to it and to the kings thereof as he had done to Jericho. And from there he passed on to Lachish to fight against it, and Horam king of Gaza went up to assist the men of Lachish, and Joshua smote him and his people until there was none left to him. And Joshua took Lachish and all the people thereof, and he did to it as he had done to Libnah. And Joshua passed from there to Eglon, and he took that also, and he smote it and all the people thereof with the edge of the sword. And from there he passed to Hebron, and fought against it, and took it and utterly destroyed it. And he returned from there with all Israel to Debar to fight against it, and smote it with the edge of the sword. And he destroyed every soul in it, he left none remaining, and he did to it and the king thereof as he had done to Jericho. And Joshua smote all the kings of the Amorites from Kadesh Barnea to Azah, and he took their country at once, for the Lord had fought for Israel. And Joshua with all Israel came to the camp to Gilgal. When at that time Jabin king of Chazor heard all that Joshua had done to the kings of the Amorites, Jabin sent to Jobat king of Midian, and to Laban king of Shimron, to Jephal king of Achpash, and to all the kings of the Amorites, saying, come quickly to us and help us, that we may smite the children of Israel before they come upon us, and do unto us as they have done to the other kings of the Amorites. And all these kings hearkened to the word of Jabin, king of Chazor, and they went forth with all their camps, 17 kings, and their people were as numerous as the sand on the seashore, together with horses and chariots innumerable, and they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom, and they were met together to fight against Israel. And the Lord said to Joshua, fear them not, for tomorrow about this time I will deliver them up all slain before you. Thou shalt hoe their horses and burn their chariots with fire. And Joshua with all the men of war came suddenly upon them and smote them, and they fell into their hands, for the Lord had delivered them into the hand of the children of Israel. So the children of Israel pursued all these kings with their camps and smote them until there was none left of them, and Joshua did to them as the Lord had spoken to him. And Joshua returned at that time to Chazor and smote it with the sword, and destroyed every soul in it, and burned it with fire. And from Chazor Joshua passed to Shimron and smote it, and utterly destroyed it. From there he passed to Achshaph, and he did to it as he had done to Shimron. From there he passed to Adullam, and he smote all the people in it, and he did to Adullam as he had done to Achshaph and to Shimron. And he passed from them to all the cities of the kings which he had smitten, and he smote all the people that were left of them, and he utterly destroyed them. Only their booty and cattle the Israelites took to themselves as a prey, but every human being they smote, they suffered not a soul to live. As the Lord had commanded Moses, so did Joshua and all Israel, they failed not in anything. So Joshua and all the children of Israel smote the whole land of Canaan as the Lord had commanded them, and smote all their kings, being 31 kings, and the children of Israel took their whole country. Besides the kingdoms of Sihon and Og, which are on the other side of Jordan, of which Moses had smitten many cities, and Moses gave them to the Reubenites and the Gadites, and to half the tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua smote all the kings that were on this side Jordan to the west, and gave them for an inheritance to the 9 tribes and to the half tribe of Israel. For 5 years did Joshua carry on the war with these kings, and he gave their cities to the Israelites, and the land became tranquil from battle throughout the cities of the Amorites and the Canaanites. End of chapter 89. Read by CJ Plogue. Chapter 90 of the Book of Jasher. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. At that time, in the 5th year after the children of Israel had passed over Jordan, after the children of Israel had rested from their war with the Canaanites, at that time great and severe battles arose between Edom and the children of Chittim. And the children of Chittim fought against Edom. And Hyrcanus, king of Chittim, went forth in that year, that is in the 31st year of his reign, and a great force with him of the mighty men of the children of Chittim, and he went to Seir to fight against the children of Esau. And Hadad the king of Edom heard of his report, and he went forth to meet him with a heavy people and strong force, and engaged in battle with him in the field of Edom. And the hand of Chittim prevailed over the children of Esau, and the children of Chittim slew of the children of Esau 220,000 men, and all the children of Esau fled from before them. And the children of Chittim pursued them, and they reached Hadad king of Edom, who was running before them, and they caught him alive and brought him to Hyrcanus king of Chittim. And Hyrcanus ordered him to be slain, and Hadad king of Edom died in the 48th year of his reign. And the children of Chittim continued their pursuit of Edom, and they smote them with a great slaughter, and Edom became subject to the children of Chittim. And the children of Chittim ruled over Edom, and Edom became under the hand of the children of Chittim, and became one kingdom from that day. And from that time they could no more lift up their heads, and their kingdom became one with the children of Chittim. And Hyrcanus placed officers in Edom, and all the children of Edom became subject and tributary to Hyrcanus, and Hyrcanus turned back to his own land, Chittim. And when he returned, he renewed his government, and built for himself a spacious and fortified palace for a royal residence, and reigned securely over the children of Chittim and over Edom. In those days, after the children of Israel had driven away all the Canaanites and Amorites, Joshua was old and advanced in years. And the Lord said to Joshua, Thou art old, advanced in life, and a great part of the land remains to be possessed. Now therefore divide this land for an inheritance to the 9 tribes, and to the half tribe of Manasseh. And Joshua rose up and did as the Lord had spoken to him. And he divided the whole land to the tribes of Israel as an inheritance according to their divisions. But to the tribe of Levi he gave no inheritance. The offerings of the Lord are their inheritance, as the Lord had spoken of them by the hand of Moses. And Joshua gave Mount Hebron to Caleb the son of Jephunneh, one portion above his brethren, as the Lord had spoken through Moses. Therefore Hebron became an inheritance to Caleb and his children unto this day. And Joshua divided the whole land by lots to all Israel for an inheritance, as the Lord had commanded him. And the children of Israel gave cities to the Levites from their own inheritance, and suburbs for their cattle, and property as the Lord had commanded Moses, so did the children of Israel, and they divided the land by lot, whether great or small. And they went to inherit the land according to their boundaries, and the children of Israel gave to Joshua the son of Nun an inheritance amongst them. By the word of the Lord did they give to him the city which he required, Timnath-Serach, on the Mount Ephraim, and he built the city and dwelt therein. These are the inheritances which Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun and the heads of the fathers of the tribes portioned out to the children of Israel by lot in Shiloh, before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle, and they left off dividing the land. And the Lord gave the land to the Israelites, and they possessed it as the Lord had spoken to them, and as the Lord had sworn to their ancestors. And the Lord gave to the Israelites rest from all their enemies around them, and no man stood up against them, and the Lord delivered all their enemies into their hands, and not one thing failed of all the good which the Lord had spoken to the children of Israel, yea, the Lord performed every thing. And Joshua called to all the children of Israel, and he blessed them and commanded them to serve the Lord, and he afterward sent them away, and they went each man to his city, and each man to his inheritance. And the children of Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and the Lord gave them rest from all around them, and they dwelt securely in their cities. And it came to pass in those days that Abianus king of Chittim died, in the 38th year of his reign, that is the 7th year of his reign over Edom, and they buried him in his place which he had built for himself, and Latinus reigned in his stead 50 years. And during his reign he brought forth an army, and he went and fought against the inhabitants of Britannia and Kernania, the children of Elisha the son of Javan, and he prevailed over them and made them tributary. He then heard that Edom had revolted from under the hand of Chittim, and Latinus went to them and smote them and subdued them, and placed them under the hand of the children of Chittim, and Edom became one kingdom with the children of Chittim all the days. And for many years there was no king in Edom, and their government was with the children of Chittim and their king. And it was in the 26th year after the children of Israel had passed the Jordan, that is the 66th year after the children of Israel had departed from Egypt, that Joshua was old, advanced in years, being 108 years old in those days. And Joshua called to all Israel, to their leaders, their judges and officers, after the Lord had given to all the Israelites rest from all their enemies round about. And Joshua said to the elders of Israel and to their judges, Behold, I am old, advanced in years, and you have seen what the Lord has done to all the nations whom he has driven away from before you, for it is the Lord who has fought for you. Now therefore strengthen yourselves to keep and to do all the words of the law of Moses, not to deviate from it to the right or to the left, and not to come amongst those nations who are left in the land. Neither shall you make mention of the name of their gods, but you shall cleave to the Lord your God, as you have done to this day. And Joshua greatly exhorted the children of Israel to serve the Lord all their days. And all the Israelites said, We will serve the Lord our God all our days, we and our children and our children's children, and our seed forever. And Joshua made a covenant with the people on that day, and he sent away the children of Israel, and they went each man to his inheritance and to his city. And it was in those days when the children of Israel were dwelling securely in their cities, that they buried the coffins of the tribes of their ancestors, which they had brought up from Egypt, each man in the inheritance of his children. The 12 sons of Jacob did the children of Israel bury, each man in the possession of his children. And these are the names of the cities wherein they buried the 12 sons of Jacob, whom the children of Israel had brought up from Egypt. And they buried Reuben and Gad on this side of the Jordan, in Romia which Moses had given to their children. And Simeon and Levi they buried in the city of Maudah, which he had given to the children of Simeon, and the suburb of the city was for the children of Levi. And Judah they buried in the city of Benjamin opposite Bethlehem, and the bones of Issachar and Zebulun they buried in Zidon in the portion which fell to their children. And Dan was buried in the city of his children Eshtael, and Naphtali and Asher they buried in Kadesh Naphtali, each man in his place which he had given to his children. And the bones of Joseph they buried in Shechem, in the part of the field which Jacob had purchased from Hamor, which became to Joseph for an inheritance. And they buried Benjamin in Jerusalem opposite the Jebusite, which was given to the children of Benjamin. The children of Israel buried their fathers, each man in the city of his children. And at the end of 2 years Joshua the son of Nun died, 110 years old, and the time which Joshua judged Israel was 28 years. And Israel served the Lord all the days of his life. And the other affairs of Joshua and his battles and his reproofs with which he reproved Israel, and all which he had commanded them, and the names of the cities which the children of Israel possessed in his days, behold, they are written in the book of the words of Joshua to the children of Israel, and in the book of the wars of the Lord which Moses and Joshua and the children of Israel had written. And the children of Israel buried Joshua in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-serach, which was given him in Mount Ephraim. And Eleazar the son of Aaron died in those days, and they buried him in a hill belonging to Phinehas his son. which was given him in Mount Ephraim. End of chapter 90. Read by CJ Plogue. Chapter 91 of the Book of Jasher. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. At that time, after the death of Joshua, the children of the Canaanites were still in the land, and the Israelites resolved to drive them out. And the children of Israel asked of the Lord, saying, who shall first go up for us to the Canaanites to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. And the children of Judah said to Simeon, go up with us into our lot, and we will fight against the Canaanites. And we likewise will go up with you in your lot. So the children of Simeon went with the children of Judah. And the children of Judah went up and fought against the Canaanites, so the Lord delivered the Canaanites into the hands of the children of Judah, and they smote them in Bezek 10,000 men. And they fought with Adoni-Bezek in Bezek, and he fled from before them. And they pursued him and caught him, and they took hold of him, and cut off his thumbs and great toes. And Adoni-Bezek said, 70 kings, having their thumbs and great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table as I have done, so God has requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and he died there. And the children of Simeon went with the children of Judah, and they smote the Canaanites with the edge of the sword. And the Lord was with the children of Judah, and they possessed the mountains, and the children of Joseph went up to Bethel, the same as Luz, and the Lord was with them. And the children of Joseph spied out Bethel, and the watchmen saw a man going forth from the city, and they caught him and said unto him, show us now the entrance of the city, and we will show kindness to thee. And that man showed them the entrance of the city, and the children of Joseph came and smote the city with the edge of the sword. And the man with his family they sent away. And he went to the Hittites, and he built a city, and he called the name thereof Luz. So all the Israelites dwelt in their cities, and the children of Israel dwelt in their cities, and the children of Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders, who had lengthened their days after Joshua, and saw the great work of the Lord which he had performed for Israel. And the elders judged Israel after the death of Joshua for 17 years. And all the elders also fought the battles of Israel against the Canaanites, and the Lord drove the Canaanites from before the children of Israel, in order to place the Israelites in their land. And he accomplished all the words which he had spoken to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the oath which he had sworn to give to them and to their children, the land of the Canaanites. And the Lord gave to the children of Israel the whole land of Canaan, as he had sworn to their ancestors, and the Lord gave them rest from those around them, and the children of Israel dwelt securely in their cities. Blessed be the Lord forever. Amen and amen. Strengthen yourselves, and let the hearts of all you that trust in the Lord be of good courage. The end. End of the Book of Jasher. Read by CJ Plogue.